So speaking of teams that are beat up, the Warriors aren't as beat up as some of the teams that are fighting for position with them. But losing Steph Curry, even if it's not for an extended period of time, has taken a toll. And Pelton, as we do this pod, they have slipped down to a 10th place in the Western Conference. They are tied with the Lakers in the loss column, but they have three fewer wins because they had some games postponed earlier when their assistant coach Decky passed away, and they're just a little bit behind. And so that's fine. I mean, in theory, they can catch up, but the problem is that they're 3 games over 500. So and then you got to play games, in a tightened window. Back to backs are created where there weren't back to backs. The outlook for the Warriors, which was looking pretty rosy 7 to 10 days ago, has eroded. They actually, I think, had gotten into 8 briefly, didn't they?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
But Dallas is now, Dallas has recovered a little bit. So anyway, the Steph Curry factor is looming pretty large in that West seeding right now.
Yeah, I mean, Tim was mentioning the importance of being out of that 9-10 playoff game. And, the Lakers actually are less than 50-50 coming in today in the BPI projections to be part of that game. The Warriors coming into today, 77%, far away the most of any Western Conference team. And,
that's what
every
happens when
game,
you lose games to the Bulls and the Spurs at home.
well, yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say is you lost to you said the Spurs at home, you buried the lead. It was the Spurs at home without Victor Wembanyama. So that's one of the worst losses of the season. And, obviously they badly missed Steph Curry in that game. They play in San Antonio on Monday night. Then Dallas, another game that's kind of crucial. Dallas and the Lakers are the next 2 games. So a couple of teams they need to beat if they have any chance of climbing out of 9-10 and getting up into that 7-8 play-in game. And
Victor, by the way, is scheduled to play on Monday.
Yep. He'll be back. We'll see if Steph can make it back for that Lakers game on Saturday night on ABC, but seems, he won't be reevaluated until Tuesday. So certainly out for that Dallas game. And they just do not have a lot of margin for error. So even though the news on Steph Curry was relatively good in terms of him not being sidelined for long, that still could be the difference between them getting up to 7 or 8 and being stuck in 9 or 10 and most likely 10, which would mean having to win twice on the road to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're dangerous and we respect them, but again, they're 3 games over 500.
I want to make one point about that. Can we really call a team that at home against a Spurs team without Victor Wembanyama cannot win with Steph Curry a dangerous team? I think we might want to retire the idea that they're dangerous.
You're not necessarily wrong, but I'm just going to say that we're living in a world where we saw 2 play-in teams make the conference finals last year. So I think
we saw one super fluky thing happen, but I think I think we need to see some evidence that this team is really a team to be that concerned about. There are a couple games over 500. They just lost. Yes, they played amazingly against the Bucks. They then turned around and lost a home game to the Bulls, who have played better but are still a below 500 team. And then even beyond that, you want to write off the Bulls game? They then got pounded at home by a horrific Spurs team.
Yeah. What I've been saying is, and I, this isn't just something to say, I believe it, is that I believe that the Warriors are not really a fair assessment of their record because the way that they've been playing isn't indicative of the way that they got to that record because Draymond was suspended. It took, they put Clay on the bench. They started to play their young guys, Kuminga, Pajemski, and Jackson Davis, and that things were looking their outlook. I was comparing it to last year where the Lakers were walking around with a record under 500 at this point, but they had actually become one of the best defensive teams in the league after the trade deadline and that they were actually more deadly. But the point that you're making here is that even if that's true, even if you agree with my premise and you may reject it, I'm not going to be offended. The deck that is so stacked against them, the margin for error is so small that it might not matter that they're actually a much better team than 3 games over 500 would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, Miami did go to the second play-in game, need that last year, and ended up making the playoffs, and did it as the 8th seed to get all the way to the NBA Finals. But they
They
still were
benefited from a
7th
Giannis
coming
injury.
in.
Nobody says that ever, and I'm guilty of that too. But if Giannis is 100% healthy, I don't know if the series goes the same way. The Heat believe it. The Heat have had great success against the Bucks. I just wanted to mention that.
The Knicks were also banged up in the second round too. I think they'd
That's
beat
true.
the Knicks either way, but Julius Randle was messed up. Jalen Brunson was messed up. I mean, I think Miami's a better team, but still.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing though is like those are teams that would have been in the playoffs either way. What we have not seen is a team that has gone from outside the top 8 via the play-in make any real noise in the playoffs as yet.
That's true. That's true. And we spend a lot of time talking about two of them, but I kind of get it.